Wa alaikum assalam wa
As
rahmatullahi wa
usual, we welcome all our friends, brothers and sisters. I have memorized few names that are always familiar with us. Of course, Brother Said from Sweden, is it? Sister Aziza, Dr. Aziza.
Dr. Aziza, yeah.
Ahmad, Abdullah is all familiar. Dr. Taufik, always with us, Alhamdulillah, and few more will join us later on. So tonight is our 6th lecture on Islamic Epistemology. We are very grateful to have with us our dear Professor Mulyadhi Kartanegara. Prof got his PhD from University of Chicago and specialized in philosophy. So he is the best that we have, inshallah, to share with us. And we are planning to continue with the class with another topic after we completed the 7th series.
Inshallah, yes.
We have discussed about scientific culture or something like that for the Muslim. We will finalize the topic, inshallah, after we finish this class. So without further ado, we invite our dear Professor Mulyadhi to continue with the class. Okay, Prof.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa bihi nasta'inu ala umuri dunya wa din. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu la nabiyya ba'd. Amma ba'du. Yes, brothers and sisters, wherever you are, we're grateful that Allah still give us a opportunity to discuss our lecture on Islamic epistemology. And tonight we will have actually two topics from my books, The Essential of Islamic Epistemology. This book is actually available if you want, but the problem is sending it. It's very difficult. Okay, and I believe that Brother Sahran has already have one. Okay, good. Okay, the first topic is about reality of mystical experience. And last week, I think someone asked me about this. Okay. And the second one is about theory of prophecy or nubuwah, according to philosopher. Okay. So, philosophical approach. First, about the philosophical approach to reality of mystical experience. We are talking about Islamic epistemology, meaning this is a philosophical box, actually, right? So everything should be, viewed from Islamic perspective. So what is the mystical reality, mystical experience, according to Islamic epistemology? Okay, I will begin with dream as the gate of mystical world. Maybe you don't pay so much into your dream, what nature of dream and what happened to you when you experience your dream. And why I talk about this, because dream has a similarity with mystical experience to this lesser extent, actually. Okay. When you pay attention to dream, actually there are some what's called special occurring there. Okay, first, when you are dreaming, you see something. You see something, but it is not by your eyes, right? You see something when your eyes are closed. So here is actually um, something interesting. But you still can see. You still can see objects in your dream. Okay. So first of all, you should wonder with what that we see the object of your dream. It's not our physical eyes, but we still can see. So this means that we actually has another eyes, right? Another eyes. Maybe you can say it, imagination, or maybe uh, like third eyes or something like that. But what obvious is it's not our physical eyes, but you still can see it. So that is the kind of things, the kind of organ that you use also when you have mystical experience. So you don't see it through your eyes, but to your inner eyes. Matabat. Okay. And the second one, the objects in the dream. The object look like physical, but it's actually not physical, right? Yeah. So for example, when you are crashed by a train, this look like train, but it's not really train in the physical sense, because you don't suffer anything from their crash, right? You're still alive. So there are objects which call imaginal world, imaginal objects actually. It look like physics, but it's not physical. Doesn't have any physicality. So this is also the peculiarity of mystical experience and the mystical world. Okay, there is something look like physics, but it's not physics. Okay, in the dream, you can go back to uh, your past, right? You might be a child again, or maybe you go through your future. For example, my little kids say that I dream about being adults and having car or something like that. And that thing will not happen in the physical world, but in the dream world, it can happen. Okay, so that is why I say that dream is actually the gate of mystical world. And what kind of experience that you have when you are dreaming? Okay, first, of course, you go there alone. You go there alone in the real facts. Maybe you dream with other people, but I believe that people are not dreaming. It's the same like you dreaming. So basically, it is subjective experience. This is subjective experience. So like also mystical experience, the subjective experience, and also you know. Uh, in the dream, you experience it subjectively, only personally. Okay, but it doesn't mean that the dream world are also subjective. No, the dream world has its own objectivity. For example, whoever come to the dream world, they will experience the same, right? Looking at something, seeing something with no physical eyes. Okay, you can see something like physical, but not physical. Okay, and you can go back to your past or to go to your future, and all these things are experienced by everybody. Everybody who's you know you everybody who are dreaming, you can experience that. And also, what it is very interesting, when you are dreaming, you might talk to someone you you don't know, maybe someone who from outside, someone from um, America, and you can understand whether or not you understand English, but in your dream you can understand each other. That is the peculiarity of the dream world. So for me, dream world is objective, not in the sense that it is physical, but objective in the sense of intersubjective. I mean, everybody will experience the same thing. So this is actually just the lesser, yeah, the lower uh, description of what the mystical experience. Mystical experience can be experienced when you are awake, but dream only when you're sleeping. Okay, but the nature of mystical world is almost the same. That's why Henri Corbin and also William Chittick call it imaginal world, alamul misal, al alamul misal. Al alamul misal situated between the metaphysical world and physical world, between spiritual world, purely spiritual world and physical world. The alamul misal, alamul misal is situated in the between. Okay, so it share the spirituality, but also share the physicality. It looks like physics, but it's not physics. Okay, so what happened when someone entered the mystical world? Okay, Ibn Arabi in the chapter 8 of his Al-Futuhat al-Makkiyah said that everyone who ever come to that world, to the imaginal world, which is a mystical world, will understand every language spoken in there. Even he can talk with trees, or with a stone, or with village, everything. You know, this is the peculiarity of the mystical experience. So you can understand any language that you found there. Okay, and what kind of world is imaginal world? So they said that, in imaginal world, there's something that's spiritual or materialized. Okay, and something material or spiritualized. Okay, so for example, in the case of revelation to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because his pure heart can enter to the imaginal world. Okay, and Jibril, angel, can, go down to the imaginal world and can take the form. So something like spiritual can take form when he entered to the imaginal world. So here, Jibril can take form of human figure. Okay, so can talk and can have the voice, and Prophet ﷺ can hear and understand. The Quran, which is in Lawh Mahfud, is not, it is voiceless and wordless. When you brought it into the imaginal world, it can be heard or can be sight, can be seen. Okay, so this is the nature of imaginal world according to a Muslim philosopher. So the possibility of wahyu, of the revelation, is that when someone like Prophet Muhammad can enter the imaginal world, all in this case, awliya or Sufi, like Ibn Arabi or someone, enter to that imaginal world, and Malaikat Jibril, the angel of Jibril, it can go down and meet with him. And at that time, Quran is already materialized, meaning have a sound and also a form of letter. Okay, that's why revelation can occur. Okay, so this is something, like in a dream. That's why people talk that your amal can be, embodied in someone, like human figure. Okay. Okay. Now, the status, ontological status of mystical world. Do you think that mystical world is actually really exists, or is it is just in your imagination? Okay, and Mehdi Ha'iriyazi, this is Iranian philosopher, he studied a book by William James, The Varieties of Mystical Experience. What struck him is that Mr. James discussed about the experience of mystics from different religious traditions. Okay, Hindu, Islam, Christian, Jewish mystics in the different time and location. Okay, but what struck me is that what they asked and what they said actually almost the same about the mystical world, and it is impossible for them to like collaborate because they are separated temporally and geographically. There's no interaction between them. I mean, they will not agree to tell a lie to us. And according to Mehdi Yazdi's study, William James talking about the orderliness and uniformity of what these mistakes spoken about. They talk about the same structure of the world of imagination or the mystical world, and so it's tell us that actually, like the dream world, mystical worlds also really exist objectively, but of course it is experienced subjectively. Okay, so that's why between mystics, between Sufi, for example, there's similarity, although they don't share the mystical experience, of course. But there is the orderliness and the uniformity of the experience. Of course, variety is there because every Sufi, every mystics will answer their own the times issues. I mean, the age, the issues of the age. So every Sufi who lived in the different times maybe will talk about different things, but actually the experience is almost the same. Take for example, you are talking about the Ittihad, which is proposed by Abu Yazid al-Bustami. He said that when it occurred, the servant, like, go up to God. Okay, so in this case, we are flying up to the God. Okay, so we are actively flying. When we are talking about al-hulul by al-Halaj, he said that God go down, hulul, go down to me. So God, so it's look like different, but is it really different? We are talking about experience in the spiritual world where there is no up, there is no down, and so on. So I believe that these two Sufis experience the same thing, but when they are forced to talk about it in human language, the problem there, because if you are talking about two things united, then there should be space, right? Whether from right to the left or from the up to the bottom. But actually, the experience spiritual world. So there is no up, no right. So this is so us that actually the experience the same, but the expression can be different. You can read this in my book, Mulyadhi Lubuk Tasawuf. There are 52 chapters in that about Tasawuf. Okay, so by this, I want to say that actually, although the world of imagination or the mystical world are is experienced are experienced by different people subjectively, but the world itself is objective. So they really believe that the imaginal world, like spiritual world, uh, do exist. Okay, so this is different from the secular people who don't believe in the accept the physical world. Okay, let's go now to the second topic, which is the theory of prophecy or nubuwah. And again, here I'm using the philosophical approach. Mullah Sadra said that the source of knowledge are three. First, Burhan, which is demonstrative method, mean logics, Irfan, which is mystical experience, and Quran. So Burhan, Irfan, and Quran. This is the source of human knowledge. Okay. If you reject Irfan, then we'll reject all the mystical experience and the Sufis, and also in certain case, the prophet, the revelation. Okay. Why I said it is using philosophical approach, because here we are talking about epistemology. This is philosophy. So I will also show you the theory of prophethood, or the theory of prophecy, from two famous Muslim philosophers, Al-Farabi and Ibn Sina. Actually, the topic of prophecy, it is quite new. I mean, it's not discussed. It was not discussed in Greek philosophy, because they don't believe in prophet or something like that. There's no theory of prophethood. But when a Muslim philosopher talk about the prophecy, they should, of course, they should believe in prophecy, because they are Muslim. They should believe in the Muhammad as a prophet and the messenger of God. Okay, but as a philosopher, they have the moral responsibility to explain this special event called prophecy. Okay, philosophically, and they will say that this is, of course, humanly possible. Okay, humanly possible. Some ulama like Al-Ghazali and Ibn Taymiyyah say that prophet is not human species; it's above human species. But as philosopher, they should talk about the prophecy as humanly possible. Okay, but then they tell it or explain it with the philosophical way. Okay, because actually when they write the book, it's not from the awam, this is not from the common people, but it's from the elites, the hawas. So the way they write the book is very difficult, and only those people can understand. So when they are talking among them, among fellow philosophers, they should talk it rationally. Okay, so let's go for what is actually happened in the philosophy theory of prophecy. Okay. But before that, it is interesting to talk about the nubuwah and wilayah. Okay, nubuwah happened to prophets, and nubuwah happened to saint or wali. Okay. These two, nubuwah and wilayah, actually happen in the hearts, qalbun. Okay, so actually, nubuwah, of course, less than, superior to a wilayah. Okay, was that the Attar, Fariduddin Attar, in his book Tazkiratul Awliya, compare the nubuwah and wilayah as this. The highest of the experience of wilayah is just the beginning of the experience of nubuwah. Okay, and it's also stated by Usman in his book Kasful Mahjub. Okay, Hujwiri, Al-Hujwiri also have the same opinion about that the wilayah, the sainthood, is just the highest of sainthood, is just the beginning of the prophethood or the prophecy. Okay, so you can say that awliya is higher than prophets. Okay, so according to Wali, the highest experience of wilayah is just the beginning of the experience of nubuwah. Okay, that should be clear, because some people said that wilayah, sainthood, is sometimes higher than prophecy. It's impossible. Okay. Now, what is the theory of prophecy by Al-Farabi? So Al-Farabi and Ibn Sina, as a philosopher, they tried to show how nubuwah is possible philosophically. Okay. And as I said, it is a new phenomena, because there is no theory of prophecy in the Greek philosophy. Okay, Al-Farabi said that although there were no theory of prophecy, but there's some discovery of Greek philosopher about what called the inner senses, right? We are talking about external senses, eyes and something like that, and internal senses. And one of the inner or internal senses are what called mutakhayyila, imagination. Okay, so the theory of imagination, that is very important for Al-Farabi to explain about the prophecy. And also the theory of emanation, right? Al-Farabi is the one who initiated the theory of emanation, and also followed by Ibn Sina. Why it is important? Because according to him, that prophecy actually, the effect of interaction or light-like emanation of active intellect, which is the Malikat Jibril, okay, the active intellect, with the imaginative faculty. Okay, so he said that prophecy is the natural effect of the light-like emanation of active intellect through your faculty of receptive imagination. So according to Al-Farabi, prophecy are received through imagination, okay, to the faculty of imagination. That's why theory of imagination as one of the inner senses is very important. And he said that prophecy are of two kinds, lesser and greater. Okay, now what happened with the lesser prophecy? Okay, when the active intellect emanation move through the rational faculty before entering to imaginative faculty of those whose intellect have not been fully developed. So, the lesser and the greater prophecies depend on how your rational developed. If it's not fully developed, so you will get the lesser prophecy. Okay. So he said that when you have that lesser prophecy, you are able to know the event outside of your eyes. I mean, the far away event. Okay. Or other things, like maybe in the future, you can see the future. Okay. And the second one is and also gives the figurative description of theoretical truth. So the difference between prophet and philosopher is that prophet has a ability to have the figurative form of the theoretical or philosophical truth. Okay. Greater prophecy is when emanation of active intellect go through fully developed intellect. Okay, and go to rational faculty before go to the human imagination. Okay, and what happened is that when you have that prophecy, when your intellect fully developed, so you will get greater prophecy, which is Nabi. And in that case, the prophet can have direct contact with the Jibril. And in that case, prophet will have also the knowledge of faraway events and future, the event in the future. But here, Al-Farabi did not talk about the ability of prophet to change the, physical things or something like that. This is proposed by Ibn Sina. Okay, Ibn Sina, according to Ibn Sina, also the same, that prophecy is actually the result of emanation of active intellect. So it's like, like light go into your heart, actually. Okay. But instead of telling that this received by imagination, in the greater prophecy, he said that prophet actually received the emanation from the active intellect through what he call the sacred intellect. Okay, al-aql qudsi. So prophecy in the higher level possesses the special faculty called al-aql qudsi, the sacred intuition. So he's talking about the sacred intellect or intuition, not imagination like Al-Farabi. And he said that the speciality of prophecy is that the prophet will form figurative description of scientific and philosophical truth. Meaning like this, when you are talking about philosophical truth, it's only can be understood by philosopher or the same like that as the light. But a prophet can give the figurative description of scientific and philosophical truths. For example, when philosophers talk about the true happiness or bliss, prophet can describe it like Jannatun Tajri min tahtil anhar, the garden in which the river flows. This is very figurative, but this is actually they are talking about the endless happiness. So this is what the prophet can do. A figurative description of scientific truth, and meaning that prophet can talk symbolically and in a very figurative and easily understood words. And that's why, according to philosopher, Quran is a symbolic language. You cannot just take it literally. Sometimes should we go deeper to the esoteric meaning of the verse. Okay. And how he proved that the sacred intellect should exist. And here he used an ontological approach. He said that everyone has the potential of this prophecy. Okay, but in certain people, the prophecy is so little, so almost next to nothing. Okay, but of course, because there is the lowest, there should be also the highest level of potential for certain people. So there should be someone who has the very great potential of receiving this prophecy, and those people are prophets. Okay, and what happened to the prophet after that revelation? Okay, the prophet has extraordinary mental power, according to Ibn Sina, enabling him to influence some physical things and produce incredible events considered as the miracle. So here Ibn Sina talk about miracle, while Farabi didn't talk it. So according to Muslim ulama, Ibn Sina actually has more orthodox leaning than Al-Farabi. So instead of the prophet received the revelation through imagination, Ibn Sina said that it is through sacred intellects or secret intuition. Okay, so I will stop in here. Just let us have a discussion. Okay.
Thank you so much, Prof.
No problem.
Yeah, in fact, we do have a good question. But before that, I want to ask you.
Yeah.
They say that the translation of Arabic to Western knowledge is not completed yet. I mean, before the Mongol destruction, there are so many philosophical books not yet being transferred to the Latin or to the Western world. So the one that we have is only a part of it. Don't know how many percent. What is your comment, Prof? What that?
No, this is misleading information actually. Okay, if you see, if you read history after the Mongol invasion to Baghdad, do you know what happened to Hulagukan after that?
Yeah, he became Muslim. Yeah.
No.
Oh, the children.
Yeah, he established Ilkhaniya dynasty just 1 year later. Okay, in Maraga. And he has Nasiruddin Tusi as the director of Observatorium. And there they have a huge library. It contains 400,000 books, selected philosophical, scientific books. Okay, so usually history said that they destroy all the books, right? Yeah. No, actually not. And even his grandson, Timur Lang, right, is so cruel, but he also have the great collection of the books. So it is not really correct that Mongol destroy all the books, right? And now we have so many books actually, but was not yet translated into international language. That's my answer to that.
Okay, Prof. Okay. Can you read in the chat box, Prof? Because this from Brother Nuruddin is quite long.
No, I don't know because I use handphone.
Okay. Prof, in the Islamic tradition, to what extent have the criteria or parameters for elaborating religious experience in both dream and waking state being developed? For example, like the dialogue between Abdul Qadir Jalani and the devil disguised as God. The devil was amazed how, for example, Abdul Qadir Jalani was not fooled by his disguise, while he could deceive many other scholars. Likewise, in the Quran, it is explained about the knowledge given to Allah to the Prophet Yusuf so that he can interpret dream correctly, while many dream interpreters in the Egyptian empire are unable to reveal it. What is your response?
You know, the good book of this mystical experience Why is bouncing? And my voice bounce.
Oh. We hear you clearly, no problem.
Yeah. Okay. There is a book called what it is, Spiritual World. No, Celestial World by Henri Corbin, and this is a very good books about this Alamul Misal, the mystical world. You know, there are quotation from certain Sufis talking about the thoroughly about the mystical world and the experience that you might get from that. You know, I forget this is celestial world or something like that. Okay, so they have very very important discussion about something metaphysical, about something spiritual world. That's I never heard that before. You know, so if you want to really understand the reason they prove, you better read that book. I will tell you later. You know, the books. I have the book actually in my library. This by Henri Corbin. Uh, so of course, in order to believe firmly about the mystical experience, you should experience yourself. You know, like because this is not rational world. This is intuitive language, right? Intuitive experience. So like you will never understand love unless you fall in love, right? You'll not understand sweet unless you taste sugar, right? When someone told you about mystical experience, you might wonder, what? It's impossible. But once you experience it, then you understand. For example, uh, one day in the past, I have a dream of meeting Nabi Yunus. Yeah, not Yunus, Nabi Idris. Okay. And just one question: how can I know that he is Idris? Right? Well, nobody tell me about that. But why not Ibrahim or Musa? Because I don't see them. But in that dream, I just know like that. So this is the kind of experience, the kind of knowledge that we experience out of reason. You know. So yeah, in order to understand that, you have to experience it. Okay, and that's why among Sufi who has experienced this mystical world, they have no problem. The problem are with us who have no experience. That's why I talked it before about the dream, because dream is very close to mystical experience. Okay, have a similarity. Like you see not with your eyes. You know, for someone, you can see without eyes. How can it be? But it happened in our dream, right? You can fly. You can go back to the future. So in a mystical experience, you can see through. Like the prophet when he was have a mi'raj, everything was open up to him. The past and the future. So he knows everything, right? Like that. And of course, it is incredible for us who has no experience about that. Okay, so I encourage you to read the book. I'll tell you by Henri Corbin. Okay, that is my answer.
Okay, Prof. This I recall that in Catholicism, I mean in Catholic, in order to be a saint, you have to have a mystical experience.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, then you can appoint it as sainthood.
Yeah, of course.
You don't have mystical experience, you cannot be declared as you are a saint.
And you will not understand it.
Yeah. What do you take on that point, bro? You must have a mystical experience to be qualified.
Yeah, I mean, when they say this wali, it's not just orang biasa, right? Wali means has a karoma, right? as the like miracle for if we are talking about prophet, and that is usually is gotten through mystical experience, right? Without that, there's no legitimacy for being called mystics, right? So saint, like when the Pope gave this sainthood to someone, it should have the experience, mystical experience. And this is actually, to a certain extent, we experience it actually, but not really great, so you don't understand that this is actually, even dreams sometimes, it's also actually a mystical experience. Okay, so I believe that, if you don't have a mystical experience, how can you be seen as a saint or wali?
Yeah. Okay, bro. We take from Dr. Rifai. I'm sorry, Prof. We need to disagree with you on some of your point. We need to draw the lines between what is Islamic and what is not Islamic in mystical experience and imagination of Sufis. Shah Abdul Qadir Jilani, Ibn Arabi, all these Sufis have good and bad side in their personal Sufi experiences. Now we should do a systematic research to differentiate between what is Islamic and what is not Islamic in their thoughts. We cannot take all what they said, and we cannot deny all that said. It's a mixture of all. What is your comment?
Yeah, actually, what our Sufi or walis did actually, they emulate the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's Mi'raj, right? So what they call the maqamat, and this is actually emulation of the Prophet's experience of Mi'raj. Mi'raj being the highest, maybe the highest experience ever done by a human being. This is really, for the Sufi, is really the model of that. So when they are Muslim Sufis, Muslim saints, they just go after model after the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So meanings that in their doctrine will not deviate from the prophets. Okay, even if you can believe that prophets always guide them, right? Ibn Arabi said that the Fususul Hikam is actually dictated by the prophet, right? Meaning they have dream or something like that. So this is what, yeah. And Al Ghazali said that whenever I quote hadith in my book, I consult to the prophets through dream, right? So what make of course there's similarities and in mystical experience, but also the peculiarity of the because of their doctrine. Maybe the Christian are different, Muslim different, but of course Muslim will follow the model after the prophets and also follow hadith and the Quran, and that make them the doctrine are peculiar, Islamic. Okay, but of course their doctrine is it's not for the awam. It is for hawas. So sometimes the awam will not understand what what they means. For example, that Prophet Muhammad is the ultimate purpose of creation. Quoting the hadith. Laulaka wa laulaka ma khalaqtul aflaq kullaha. If not, it were not for you, I will not create the universe. So the Prophet existed before the creation, right? So this is very difficult because what to understand about Muhammad is that Muhammad is historical Muhammad, and there is we are not taught about the metaphysical Prophet Muhammad, but Sufi believe in that. Okay, so that is the actually it's not the wrong or not, but it's the interpretation of that. We don't understand and so say that this is misleading or something like that. That's my answer.
Okay, Bro, what is your take on this 9 Sufi saint of the Javanese, this Wali Songo? How do you explain their mystical experiences, their da'wah, and in our contemporary context?
Okay, 9 Wali in Java is actually ulama who has a very wise because of the experience. I don't know. I don't know much about the mystical experience, but the way they have, the way the Islamize or preaching Islam is very peculiar. They really understand because when they came, the majority of Indonesian or Javanese are Hindu and Buddha, and they already developed certain ways of communication or media, right? For example, wayang, where it wayang kulit or
The puppet show.
puppet show, yeah, which is different from the West Java. But anyway, the wayang actually represent the certain way of communication. Okay, and when the Wali came to Java, it is impossible for them to abolish all these things. But they make use of these wayang as the way of preaching, communication. So, for example, Pandawa Lima is a five Pandawa. It's actually, they said this is actually symbolize Rukun Islam, right? Rukun Islam. And there is a weapon called what's called Kalima Sodo. Actually, this is Kalima Shahadat, right? So this is how they preach Islam. And, it's very extraordinary that, Indonesia become the most populated, Muslim populated country, right? From majority Buddha and Hindu become to Islam. They make coming to Islam very easy. And there is a tradition of Sakaten. It's originated from the fact that, when you want to enter Islam, you just go to the right gate and say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, and then come out from the left gate, and that's it. You are Muslim. So they're very attractive, and also, of course, they have this song, and also gamelan,
Musical instrument.
Yeah, and they do da'wah through that, and sometimes with syair, with the poetry and something like that in the Java, like pupuhan and something like that, and people enjoy that. But through that they inserted Islamic value. So this is how wise the way they preaching Islam. So by that, many people come to Islam, and then now 90% of Indonesian people are Muslim. So,
so you are saying that this mystical experience is elaborated.
Yeah.
Oh, kind of exaggerated. I'm sorry,
No,
it's wrong term there.
No, they the results of their mystical experience, they turn it into songs or into
Okay.
nasihat or something like that. Yeah. So when they want to memorize the sifat 20, the 20 qualities of God, they sing it. Like in my language, Sundanese, wujud ayah Allah kidam tihela bakolanggang ayana Allah. This is memorized by children without knowing the understanding, But later you understand that, wujud meaning I exist, kidam meaning, like eternal, something like that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, bro. So from Dr. Taufik, how can we differentiate between the prophetic spiritual experiences from the ordinary people experience? We believe in Islam that the prophet are chosen by Allah, while other may be claiming otherwise.
No, that's why I brought up about the concept of nubuwah, right? And the wali in Java has the wilayah, the area of their sainthood, So the difference is that they have the experience, but of course, compared to nubuwah, prophecy, wilayah is a lesser. They said that the highest level of nubuwah is just the beginning of wilayah is just the beginning of nubuwah, meaning they have the same this is experienced by your hearts, your intuition, right? But the level is different. Now, after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there is no more prophecy, no more a prophet, right? So what still exists, remain, is actually the ilham, and ilham received by the walis and something like that. So still, Gabriel is not retired, he's still active, to give hidayah to whom Allah wants, because Allah yudil mayasha wa yahdi mayasha, right? So if want to if God want to give hidayah, guidance, He will give it to certain people through this ilham or something like that. So I believe that, of course, there is fake mistake, fake wali or something like that. But there's also the genuine wali. I believe that people like Syekh Abdul Qadir Jalani, Al Ghazali, Ibn Arabi, Jalaluddin Rumi, Sawaliullah. This is, true walis. Something like that. So God still give possibility for us to have this ilham, inspiration.
That's true. Okay, Prof, the last one. You're talking about the Henry Corbin, is it? The book, Mundus Imaginalis, or Imaginary and the Imaginal.
Yeah, Imaginal World and
Henry
Celestial Earths. Yeah, yes. Yeah. Okay, that is the book.
Yeah. The final question by Brother Nurudin. Can you explain why in the book Corbin uses the term land of nowhere to refer to the imaginary world?
I'm sorry, I didn't read that part. But meaning it's not the physical world. This is somewhere else. It's not physical world. Because Suhrawardi divided the cosmos in three parts. They said Oriental, which is the spiritual world, and the Middle Occident and Occident. So Middle West and West. So the physical world is called West, and this is the source of darkness. Okay, so West is the darkness, and the East, meaning the spiritual, it is Orient, and it is related to the sun, the light. Okay, so there is a light world and dark world, and in between there is a called imaginal world. So that is the maybe because it is not physical, then you cannot see it there, except when you experience it. But honestly, I didn't read that part. Okay.
Okay, Prof. Thank you. This will be this is just a tip of iceberg. We know that few Western scholars going deep in this spiritual world, Sufism, sainthood, and this. I think we as Muslims also have to know a bit about this. And then, of course, the spiritual experience is very peculiar. Individuals. Sometimes we experience it when we perform Hajj or in our own personal devotion. Then we will understand it, inshallah. So, a summary for tonight, Prof, before we close.
Okay, when I read many books on Sufi, and there's the very interesting experience of the mystical experience. For example, Risalatul Anwar fi ma yumna al-halwa Asrar by Ibn Arabi, he tells us about the experience when he do zikr, and he go to the mineral world, to vegetable world, animal. He goes through 23 world, different world, through your zikr. I have the book, the Journey to the Lord of Power. It's already translated. So there are so many things, but we cannot talk this in here, in extension, so I just can summarize things like that. But for me, philosophy and mysticism cannot be separated. Okay, so mysticism, philosophy, and science, it's actually three aspects of the same truth. This is like three dimensions of the truth. But but it's not the truth itself. Okay, if you have these three discipline, your knowledge about the reality will be more complete. Okay, something like that.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Okay,
See
no
you
problem.
next week, inshallah, for the
Inshallah,
final part, inshallah.
will be yeah.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi